Hello there, my name is Richard. The first time you see my channel, I used to review cartoon series, anime series, so something completely random, and today we're going to talk about Last Man. Now, I have a segment I usually do once a month, talk about sort of forgotten cartoons, or hidden gems in this case, because sometimes some cartoons nobody really talks about it or know they exist because of different countries, or region lock, or it was made here in USA, but nobody really talks about it. And this is the reason why this segment was created: forgotten cartoons, focus on them, why they're so special or why they're so bad. But this one is a gem. This is one of those like, wow, it's a really good, called Last Man. It basically is a French cartoon based on a comic book back in March 13. It had a chance to make an anime series on, I don't remember which month, but it was 2016 when it actually came out. And it was those kind of hidden gems that nobody really talks about, especially that Verve got the rights of the first season and they were not stop promoting back in 16, because it will show you a lot of things, even ruining the ending of the whole series. Not completely, just sort of death or sort of villain. But when you watch the whole series, you really don't care, because it was sort of organized in a way it's just so strange that you really forget how the character actually died in the trailers. But all of that, I have to recommend it. I have to say, yes, it's one of those series. It's just so substance. It has so much style. Especially, it doesn't have a budget. I mean, it has a budget, but it's not something a huge budget. This series shows that you don't need a huge budget. You just need to know how to use it properly, because half of the whole animation relied on the audio. I mean, when the character moves, you just hear the footsteps or see someone walking away, but you don't see it. You just hear noises or how far, or someone talking around you, but you don't see. You just see a character looking around without using too much animation. It's one of those, it's very carefully edited audio and also sort of symbolism. All three things done to this adult series. And yes, this thing is adult. I mean, you have violence, gore, horror, and a lot of sexual situations. I mean, they do the dirty tango. I mean, they actually show yeah, they do it like me 3 times in the whole series. But it's one of those that it really convinces you this is sort of necessary on this series, because when you see someone doing it, it has a purpose. For example, our main lead, Richard, kind of slept with someone mom in their own room. They came in and the guy just pissed off, want to kill him. In a way, you describe our main lead sort of an asshole, but at the same time, he's sort of that charming asshole, does sort of questionable things. I mean, the guy's not perfect. He's sort of flawed, but it's not horrible. He just doesn't really think about the consequences of his own actions. In fact, the first scene, you see him sort of being a bodyguard on this sort of strip club, talk to a manager who is probably the biggest dirtbag you ever met, and talking about the 3 P's, not to do with the strippers or protect the strippers, but the manager of that owner hit one of her own employees, and Richard didn't like that. In fact, he didn't say anything. He just said, wait, what was the 3 P's? Oh, you mean this? And you punch him right in the face and knock him out? Of course, this is the reason why he never got the job being sort of bodyguard in the stripper organization. But the only difference is the guy he punched was a monster of a son of the whole city called Paxtown. Yeah, you basically punched the son of the one of the most powerful men in the city. You got about to die. And I love it, Richard doesn't really give a damn, because Richard knows how to handle himself. But it's not about Richard, how this series grabs you. It's about, he's sort of, I want to say sort of Spider-Man or more Peter Parker's type of life. Like, he never he never get his life together, in other words. He's one of those people who never think about his actions, because every time he does something stupid to do something good, that sort of bit him in the ass, because sooner or later you meet the same person he punched later on. Once more, like the gangster son of the strip club. He came back to them to actually ask for their favor, and also forgiveness. But every time he goes back to them, he has to serve a labor or a favor back to them to pay his debt. But every time he does, it's something so impossible to do. You wonder Richard can actually do it, yes or no. And that's so interesting, because every time he does something stupid, you're wondering what's gonna happen next. What is the consequence? That's the thing. It grabs you half of the whole series. The other half is Richard kind of figuring out what happened to his teacher slash father figure, because Richard wasn't a good person. Richard has this sort of that kid who basically go to prison. He doesn't realize you're about to be 18, you're about to go in jail. If you don't get your act together, you will go in jail. And Richard at that point, he doesn't know what to do till he misses his mentor, the teacher, his father figure who poured in the direction, David. And David should have died because of Richard. At least that's what he thought, punching a gangster's son. But it's more complicated. It's so interesting because you don't know what Richard going into. In fact, as an audience, you don't know what's going on, because the first episode just throw you like a left curve, because you don't know what the hell is going on, because the first episode fall into like 3 or 4 different plot stories under 10 minutes. In fact, the whole series has 26 episodes, each episode just 10 minutes long. And that's the thing, it just sort of blows away. It's not the audio and the limited animations know how to use it on the right time. It's Richard in his sort of situation, because I think the first 6 or 7 episodes, Richard has no idea what's going on. In fact, the whole show is sort of cryptic to actually focus on more Richard, because you have the other plot story of Siri, the daughter of David, that Richard didn't know actually had a daughter, and he tried to basically protect her, continuing on what he's doing with his own daughter to raise her right. But the only part, Richie doesn't know how to raise a child or raise anyone, because he can't really protect. He doesn't know how to be responsible, in other words, even to himself. So it's something that is sort of kind of Peter Parker situation, trying to understand who he is and trying to be responsible, trying to be an adult. But it's something that fall in the middle of the road, ask himself, what am I doing? If I'm doing the right thing? Especially he has a sort of kind of boxing career, but he doesn't really take it serious. He's one of those people who has so much talent, he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't, should I continue? Should I not? What's more, that's what led to the supernatural about Siri. Who is she? Why David never told Richard he had a daughter? And he tried to protect her to realize this strange cult wants her. The cult name is the Order of the Lion. And you just like, what? And the main leader has this sort of electrokinesis power. He can teleport or shock people. And Richard, he's not Spider-Man. He's not a superhero. He's just an athlete who has good skills, but he never really focused on his training to be the best. Now he had to think on his feet, taking on this cult leader and his cult members. But that's not actually the main focus. You have multiple ones. There's one that he trying to protect his teacher's gym. He is now the owner. He's trying to make deals to keep the gym open. And that is so interesting. It's not about Siri, it's about the gym, or it's not about the gym, it's about the cult. It's not about the cult, it's about the monsters he punched. And that's just so fascinating because it goes so many different ways. And on top of all this, to make it so interesting, is the fact it's sort of realistic. It feels so real sometimes. I mean, I'm over exaggerating, but at the same time, it's sort of how the best to describe it, like a film movie watching a television series. It's something like a Netflix high budget, but it's not high budget. In fact, this whole anime series felt the director who went to film school. He focused on the very interesting camera angles and sort of understand I have a budget, so I have to focus on the phone, not what's going on. Or I just leave the character traumatized in the corner. You just see lights hitting her over and over again. Understand the messed up situation. Now you also have the demons who are basically possessing people for a certain reason. I'm trying not to spoil it. It's one of those that the less you know, the better. But don't worry, why I said I did not spoil it, because it's just so kind of confusing at first, because he tried to focus on Richard without knowing what's actually going on. It took like about 7-8 episodes to understand, but all of that, it just grabs you every single thing, especially what she is or doesn't know what she is. This sort of creatures especially know they exist, but at the same time the people who possess don't actually have it or work together with the creature, have this sort of limitless power. But I love it. This power each creature has is completely unique and kind of creative. I think one of the best ones I think of is this kid, this emo kid who talked to Siri to convince her to work together, and also kill her to take her heart, because these creatures kind of love each other but at the same time want to devour each other. You have this sort of weird complex in this type of monsters, but I love it is the power they have. Like this emo kid does sort of drawing sketches and make them back to life. It's sort of like Doodlebob from SpongeBob, like when you draw something you can take it and remove it, but it really show how creative really is in an action scene, and that is just so interesting, because that single episode you see the normal animation and the two in the sketches animation blend together, cutting half and half nowadays. Sorry, I'm sort of stumbling here, but you get the idea. The creativity, just whoa. Of course, it also has a lot of horror. Maybe that's the reason kind of won me over, because God, the horror is just so great. Of course, you also have a lot of sexual situations. You have basically doing the dirty deed about me 3 or 4 times of this 26 episodes. Each time they do it, it has sort of a purpose, what I said at the very beginning. But this one purpose, the one episode, they basically did almost a good 30% of the episode, 2 people doing it, but doing it because they were forced to. This demon forced them to have in the bed so he can actually eat their energy. But it's sort of disturbing, especially the person who went there to kill this demon. He accidentally had to kill like a person, another person almost died, and he needed to kill this demon because he needs his heart for Siri. I won't tell you who. This is sort of not spoiler, but even I tell you, don't really understand until you actually see it. But other than that, when he took his heart, when he took to get the medicine for Suri doesn't need it. And you see the guy who did all this work, and you just see him sort of traumatized, like, I did all this for nothing? And you just see him kind of shocked, but at the same time, I've never seen that before. They use sexual situations to make the horror elevated in a way. I mean, I sound pretentious, but at the same time, you did it to the woman, but at the same time, the woman died because it was forced doing to you. Now you have to cut the heart, wondering, this was worth it? Well, that's the thing, the shocking part. This was so good. Every single episode, it really was well thought of. Even the minor characters like Chubby or Chubster, I think is his name, that he is basically in the gym. He's not a great boxer, he's sort of overweight, but Chubster is the MVP of this series. You understand why David had him there. It's a guy who can accomplish any sort of situation if he need to talk. I mean, one point Richard need to go in the sort of organization of a fighting tournament, but the only problem is he's too late. And that's why you have Chubster, because Chubster is a guy who can actually talk to people, get in their head, but very positive, sweet guy. He's almost like a salesman, but he's not scummy, but he knows he has to do something to convince you to join his own way, or at least accept them or do a deal. That's why you love Chubster so much. He's a sweet guy, but unfortunately they did dirty with this character, and you know why. If you've seen the series, something happened to this guy and my heart just broke. No, Chubster, why? But besides that character, you also have other characters are sort of equally interesting. You also have Quintana, who is basically the love interest, but at the same time, she's not just the love interest. She's so much more, because she sort of helped Richard's sort of situation to get out of. But at the same time, she's the one who initiated the sort of the romance. But Richard wasn't really sure, especially Richard liked sleeping with a lot of different women. Specifically, he'll have the taste of black women. I don't know why. That's his sort of taste. Okay. Sure, but whatever. But he does cheat on her, and she sort of got mad and broke up with her. But broke up with her in a way like Taylor Swift with a song. And you just like, and the worst part, it broke up in the finals match when he trying to go in the ring. You just see him broken, but sometimes you kind of deserve it, man. You kind of cheat on her, like, what the fuck? But once more, this is a series what make it so well. Each character has their moment, their lore, especially the lore, because they're trying to explain the lore about the Wanda Queen and also the king of the royal universe or something, like a different universe that every other universe sort of is a shadow of this universe, this sort of paradise of kings, and you just go more convoluted, but at the very end it makes sense in a way. But at the same time, I love Richard doesn't give a damn. He just want to protect Siri and help her. But it's sort of much more than that. It's about Richard understanding who he is and what he must become. He's not the hero of this journey. He's more like kind of growing up sort of story in a way. And something is so many things hard to explain. I hope I convinced you to watch this, because if you want to watch this, it's the only place you can watch it in Verb or pirated. I do not recommend it, but it's the only way you can find it. In fact, if you want to see the first episode, watch on YouTube The Last Man. There is like I think 1 or 2 episodes, and believe me, it's just so much fun and hype about this show. You can see why it was so good. Unfortunately, they only had it 1 season and got canceled. Especially the comic book has over 26 chapters or something like that, and it just covers only a piece of those chapters because it leaves sort of a cliffhanger. Sort of like a cliffhanger. It's almost like he has an ending. You will not be disappointed, but you have like 1 or 2 things not resolved, and just leave that just in case it had a season 2. Lucky for you, I did some research before I actually did this video that I found out they actually had the money to do season 2. Of course, it took them about 6 years to get a season 2. I think because they went to Kickstarter to get the money to do season 2, because this series became a cult classic for a reason, because it has so much substance, so much style, but at the same time you just love it. Of course, I'm being warned, this is fully adult. Yeah, if you don't like sexual things or horror or gore, maybe it's not for you, but at the same time I recommend it. Watch the first episode. And in fact, it's something I recommend highly if you want to be an animator or you want to be your own project. If you don't know how to spend the money the right way, watch this series. It takes notes because it shows you a lot of different tricks to accomplish that. It still looks good. And believe me, they have the money here, but they know where to spend it in the right way. Especially the finale, the final episode. Like, whoa, it was great. But besides that, had one question. You've never heard of The Last Man. You heard the comic book version of it. Do you rate it? Do you see it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Tell me down below. Let me know. I honestly got nothing really else to say. Just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.